I mean, it should be live. What I wanted to do was control to make this a lot smaller. Oh, right. So we are live. I think I want to just start a to do dot nd. What's today? Today is 6th January 2025. Because it helps me from like having to explain. No, maybe another time. Okay. That was a waste of time. I don't know where I stopped yesterday. Let me just check. Zig build run. Ah, yes. Okay. Yesterday, managed to get the. Oh, wrong place. To get a Wayland surface, which should be in the compositor here. There were a couple of things missing. I wasn't binding my IDs to with the Wayland server. So that's been taken care of. And so the next thing to do is, not really sure, XDG shell. It's either top level or I'm thinking. Get XDG Surface. And then something. Get top level, maybe. Okay, so that's what I've got to do for today. Well, I guess get started, I suppose. Right, okay, let's go. So bound the surface ID. Do I have a compositor? I think I do. Socket header bind ID surface ID. Okay, I mean, let's keep going. See what XDG shell. I think the first place to start is get XDG surface. So we need the surface ID and a new XDG ID, right? I'm gonna do the same var XDG surface ID will be the same. Is null. Then here, I guess once I have the compositor, I don't need to worry about that. So if I have surface ID, I need to get XDG Surface. So I need a method for that. Oh, which I already have here. But I think the only thing I need to change is make this bind ID. Bind ID. Okay. Excuse me. Quest header. Right. That should give us. So yeah, okay. Still need to bind to it. Should get an event back, right? I'll check that in a minute. New ID. This is Surface ID. Suppose I could have just left it. The 32. Surface ID. Okay, so I need a. I need to bind and get surface ID. That call create surface. That is weird. I think, don't I have to like create a surface before I bind? I think I'm forgetting something. Let me just check the book. Our protocol basics. Interfaces request events. The event protocol works by showing requests and events that acts on objects. Protocol design patterns, source lifetimes. Protocols that we should briefly cover here. These patterns are found throughout the high-level Wayland protocol and protocol extensions. Atomicity, resource lifetimes, versioning. binding to globals, registering globals. Each request event is associated with an object ID. We haven't discussed how objects are created. Represents to decode. We must also somehow negotiate available objects, the creation of new ones, and the assigning of IDs to them in some manner. Right. In Wayland, we solve both of these problems at once. When we bind an object ID, we agree on the interface used for it in all future messages and stash a mapping of object IDs to interfaces in a local state. Oh, interesting. When we bind an object ID, we agree on the interface used for it in all future messages. Okay, so if you just bind it, you don't need to create service. But I guess you still need to create the service. WL display registry. Still global objects. These global often provide information and functionality on their own merits, but most often they're used to broker additional objects to fulfill various purposes. Object ID 1 is already implicitly assigned to the WL display when you make the connection. Right. The WL display get registry request can be used to bind an object ID to the WL registry interface. It's the next one found in Wayland.xml. Given that WL display always has object ID 1, the following wire messages ought to make sense. So that's big endian. I always forget what is the difference. Okay, this is 2. Okay, 1. So that's A, B, C. 12, 13, and 2. When we break this down, the first number is the object ID. The most significant 16 bits of the second number are the... Oh yeah, I forgot. Because the second number is opcode and... Hey Jack. How you doing? 16 is the second number, total length of the message in bytes, and the significant bits are request opcode. Sure, this is called an object ID 1, which accepts one argument. I realized yesterday that although I bound a surface, or like called bind on a surface, I never really created one. So I don't know how it was able to bind. I'm just trying to figure out when to bind. Binding to globals. Upon creating a registry object, the server will emit the global event for each global available on the server. Right. You can then bind to the globals you require. I see. Binding is the process of taking a known object and assigning it an ID. Once the client binds to the registry like this, the server emits the global event several times to advertise which interface it supports. The interface string maps to the name of the interface. The version number is also defined here. To bind to any of these interfaces, we use the bind request, which works similarly to the magical process by which we bound the WL registry. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is from server to client. Okay, that makes sense. The first message is identical to the one we've already dissected. Second one is an event from the server. Opcode 0 and object ID 2. That's 0? Or the second one? Object ID 2. Opcode is it opcode first or might be second? Fine, yeah. Once you've created this object, you can utilize its interface to accomplish various tasks. Let me just read that again. Second one is event from the server, object 2, which the client assigned the WL registry to the first message. Opcode 0 with arguments 1, WL, shm, and 1 respectively the name, interface, and version of this global. The client responds by calling opcode 0 on object's ID 2. Opcode 0, is that 2? Yeah, object ID 2. Why does this 2 look different from this 2? 0 on object ID 2, WL registry bind, and assigns an object ID 3 to global name 1. Okay, binding to the WL that global. Future events and requests for this object are defined by the WL protocol you can find in the Wayland XML. Once you've created this object, you can utilize this interface to accomplish various tasks. In the case of that, managing shared memory between the client and the server. Most of the remainder of the book is devoted to explaining the usage of each of these globals. Handle global. Connect, get registry, registry add listener, round trip. Still one thing I'm not fully sure of. I think I still need to create a surface, if I'm not wrong. Wayland compositor create surface. So I bound the surface ID to the compositor. So that means I can now create a surface. I think I should keep this global. I think that can wait for now. So if I have a surface ID, does that mean I can now create a surface? Create surface. Socket buffer new ID. Of new surface ID dot new ID new ID dot ID. Oh, because it's new ID. Okay, that's better. So what will that do? Create a surface. Ask the compositor to create a new surface. And what will the compositor respond with? Registry, I guess. Guess there should be an event on the compositor. Yeah, here. Where did I get those? Oh, I think it's from these. Bind is not right. Because I think bind is not an event. It's a request. Yeah. Should still run. Right, that's fine. So the compositor has no events as far as I can see. So I think once if you can bind it, you should be able to just create the surface. How do I stop it from creating surface multiple times? I can check if surface is bound. So I don't need a bind ID. Does bind use the new ID? Yeah, it does. But as of now, as soon as it leaves this handle cband, it'll create a surface every time. Oh yeah, I can check. Reacting to it. Events, creating a registry. Guess here. Surface. Well, compositor create surface. FD and state. Message size, right to 32. Without the check ID. 16, that's the off code. Message size. Okay, where does he call this? So if there's a compositor and that is not 0, XDG base is not 0. And surface is 0. Okay, I think I can I'm not just overthinking it too much. So, yeah. Surface ID and our surface created. Do we pull false? I can think of a better way later. Surface created equals true. And not. Can't do that at the same time, can I? Surface created. So this will no longer work. Not equal to null. Surface ID dot new ID. Okay, so that should create the surface. Will it return an event? Creates the XDG surface immediately. Get XDG surface, get top level. WL surface commit. I don't know, I'll look at that later. What else needs to happen once you create a surface? XDG shell create get XDG surface. I guess I need to bind this ID as well. Yep, because this is an object. Oh, maybe it binds it at the same time. Because I noticed when... Oh no, I do need to bind it first. Do I... Okay, so how to bind XDG shell.xml? That's what I need. XDGWM base. That's the first interface. Create positioner. Get XDG surface. So that's... Is the description included? Maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's either 3 or 4. Most likely 3. Well, XDG surface itself is not a role. The corresponding, I did read about the role thing. I think in global, now I can check if, I think it's called XDGWM base. I think I printed standard debug print name interface. I think just the interface is fine. S can I capture this? No. Dot header dot g dot interface. W XDG 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 WM base. Okay, that is what it's called. Did I just bind to it twice? This is XDG Surface ID. WM base get XDG Surface. XDG Surface ID. New bind ID, interface version name, yep, and bind. Yep, and this would be XDG Surface ID. Okay, I wonder if it happens at the same time. I guess it would. I can just do it here. Do surface ID S, and then if XDG surface ID. I'll call it surfaces created. Create surface, and this. There is no response, so I can just ignore this. It's not surface ID, but WL compositor ID. Really? Don't you pass a surface when you get an XDG surface? WL compositor. Create region. Where is it? Create surface. I mean, it looks like surface ID, right? Actually, yeah, they might have a point because I am binding to the compositor. Okay, I think you're right. So this should be WL compositor ID. And then this should be XDG WM base ID. Yeah, I think that's fine. So I guess now I can just create, where is XDG shell? Okay, I think I misunderstood something. I thought the new ID was for the method itself, request itself, but it's for the object. And then you can use the request within that object. Sorry, it's for the interface. And then you can use the request within that interface. Okay, I think that helps. Create XDG surface. So we have an ID, we have a surface. So I can just create it here. Try get XDG surface. Socket buffer surface ID. I think I'll have to rename that as well. C dot new ID and X dot new ID. Get XDG surface. This will be compositor ID. I guess that makes sense. Or I can just leave it like surface, like the argument name. This can just be ID. I think that's better. This creates an XDG surface for the given surface. While XDG surface itself is not a role, corresponding surface may only be assigned a role extending XDG surface, such as XDG top level or XDG pop-up. It is illegal to create an XDG surface or a WL surface which already has an assigned role, and this will result in a role error. This creates an XDG surface for the given surface. An XDG surface is used as basis to define a role to a given surface, such as XDG top level, pop-up. Also manages functionality between XDG surface, base surface roles. See the documentation of XDG surface. Let's see what happens when I run this. What is the... There's no events. Oh, but is this where I have to respond to the ping? There is a ping event. So that would mean this can be const for now. If not surfaces created. So I need to find out the object ID for XDG WM base. I doubt mem.asbytes converts slides correctly. Find I think we can check. It's given a pointer to a single item, return the slice of the underlying bytes. Okay, it says single item, so I think I think you might be right. I think I can check standard mem dot as bytes 2 bytes. Returns a copy of its bytes in an array. Why did I use as bytes in the first place? Given a pointer to a single item. Given any value, but I guess slices are pointers, so the serialization in bind is correct. I doubt mem.aspect converts slice correctly. Well, my guess was that this is already I also forgot that. Do I have to do the padding for the string? Oh no, because it's already includes the padding. Zig serialize slice. Zig slice 2 bytes. So use as bytes 2 bytes. Ah, okay. Just use memcopy. Guess that is an option. I wonder what's the difference between slice of const u8 and a slice of u8. I'll put a note fix. The serialization might be incorrect. Okay, what am I doing now? Actually, I didn't run it. No field name surface ID in 278. Oh yeah, I think I renamed it to Surface. Might as well rename this. Call this ID Surface and then ID. Yep, compositor new ID and XDG new ID. Right. But I need to log something, because how do I know if something's happening? Because this is just interfaces. There is an error object as well. Oh, that's violent. XDG. Okay. I need to handle XDG events. Standard debug print header ID. Well, yeah, that's the header ID is always just two. It's only composite events that come back. But I don't know what that means. Standard debug print surfaces created. Just to see if it ever gets there. Interesting. Doesn't. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong here, definitely. Don't need this. I mean, it doesn't look right. If I can't tell what. Debug the print. Finding compositor. So they do get. How come the surface never gets created? That is a bind added event. Bind. Compositor registry. No, there is no error. I spotted 2.5 issues. Okay. Well, it's 2.5 more than I've spotted. That's the book. Protocol design, buffer surfaces, shell basics. I need to read the events again. Events. Requests, interface request events. So we can also send a message back to the client events. Later on a specific output. What am I missing? New ID in create surface should be the same value as surface in get XDG surface. Really? ID surface and Wayland create surface. The arguments are like quite different though. Oh, you mean new ID and create surface should be the same value? Yeah, I think it's the same. So surface is object WL surface. Yep. So this, let me just rename this to surface. And the same thing here. Surface. Is the request header correct? Yeah, it's the header and the surface. Then ID should be a different number. But isn't it the same surface? Yeah, X is X dot new ID is a different, what's it called? You're just confusing me more now. So the IDs are correct, right? Because I think I do create a new ID here. No, it's okay. Don't worry. I do get a new ID and the ID is incremented. There's a couple of things I don't understand. Is here, does the ID match your object ID value? Let me check. New bind ID. Bind. Well, except for this. Oh yeah, it does match. It's the same ID. Because I reused the same ID. Because it's defined here. I want to know if bind is successful or if it failed. The only events I seem to get back are registry events. Because you hardcode the interface ID in the header. I should check the interface ID. I think I get the header ID. Oh, you're right. I'm sending the wrong header. Both of these. Oh no, it's the event header. Oh, the header is wrong. Okay, well, that's good to know. So this should be... Yeah, this is wrong. Because this is the events header. No, it's wrong, right? Because this is a registry event. So the object ID is 2. Is it correct? 0, 1. I think it should be 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Let me check bind again. Excuse me. Oh no, actually, yeah, no, you're right. The header is fine because it is defined in the bind and registry interface. Because you hardcode the interface ID in the header. Header in bind seems okay. It does seem okay because it is registry. Where is the other header? Create surface. This is the compositor, and this is WM base. Is the opcode right? I don't think so. Let me first check create surface. Compositor is correct. Opcode is 0. Yep. And for XDG shell, WM base, opcode is 0, 1, 2. No, but I think the opcode is also wrong, right? Because XDG surface is the third one, or 2. It's the new ID that you give. $16, and then header ID and surface. Let me just check what these IDs are. Standard debug, print, XDG surface ID, and then surf compositor, WM base ID. BID, comma, surface. Yeah, because I think it never gets called. Why does it never get called? XDG.XDG base should be the same as your XDG base ID. Object ID.XDG base. So the object ID is here. I can print this standard debug print XDG object ID. D XDG WM base ID dot. Just want to check the compositor ID as well. It's null. I think this will have the same problem. Compositor object ID is 3 and XDG object ID is 4. Just want to check it's not updating. It's not a pointer, so shouldn't really be. Yep. So the first ID was 2. That was for global. And then 3 and 4. Object ID dot xdgwm base. Does that match the definition in the object? Let me check. Compositor. No, I just increment the ID. What's it called? Yeah. Whenever I get a new one, I just increment the new ID. I think it's what the other guy did. Where is that guy? Here. Line 25. Oh, you mean 25 down, maybe? It's the same line, no? Because it's relative lines. Yeah. So I'm guessing 10 down. Name line interface version, new ID. Oh, so that means 20 up. Oh, this is wrong. No, is it? Actually, what is the object ID for XDGWM base? Do I even use it? I do. Is the object ID the name? I don't think so, right? I think he does have a list. XDGWM base. It doesn't have a base ID. Display object ID is 1. Don't even see the compositor ID. I think I put it as 1 because, or should it be 0? Because it is the first interface. But I think my question is, how does it know? I don't think I use this yet. It's the interface ID, so the new ID you use to bind. You mean, hang on, let me print. Debug.print, blah, 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 blah. Here. Oh no, here. Standard debug.print. Name. And interface. G dot name, G dot interface. So you mean to say this is the object ID for it? The thing that I don't understand is because it uses the XML to generate the code. How does it know that this is XDG object here from the header? Oh, because I used the bind ID. Okay. So is that correct? This should be 0. At least based on... Are these one indexed? Let me go back. Wayland.xml. WL display is 1, so there should be 1 too. Yeah, I think it should be the same. Because if display is 1, my guess is XTGWM base should be 1 too. Really? Let me check if I understand object IDs correctly. As far as I understand, object IDs are basically the interface position within the XML. Like this is object ID 1 and this is object ID 2. Because no, I think it is, right? Because okay, have a look at this one. In the header, right? So XML display is object ID 1 and registry is object ID 2. And on it goes. Like callback is 3, composite is 4. Is it not so? I think so. What is this? This in... Why does it never come out of that? Object ID for display is always the same. Yeah, it's always the same. Never changes. Okay, let's have a look at the book again. Wire protocol basics. Messages, object IDs here. When a message comes with a new ID argument, the sender allocates. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. That was the first sentence, and I read this like 20 times. Okay. And when a message comes with a new ID argument, the sender. Okay, so there's another case. Jeez. I have a lot of rules. Argument. The sender allocates an object ID for it. The interface used for this object is established through additional arguments. Okay, so that means, hang on. Registry displays one. Okay, hang on. So if I understand this correctly, bind the ID and then bind. So this header, when a message comes in with a new ID argument. What message? Comes in with a new ID argument. Sender allocates an object ID for it. So that means the message we sent, a request. The interface used for this object is established through additional arguments or agreed upon in advance for that request/event. This object ID can be used in future messages, either as the first word of the header or as an object ID argument. The client allocates IDs in the range of 1 to that. The server allocates IDs in the range of that. So you can start from 1 and then on. IDs begin at the lower end of the bound and increment with each new object allocation. An object ID 0 represents a null object that is non-existent, or the explicit lack of an object. Okay, I do need to allocate an object ID for it myself. So I was wrong when I made this understanding. I don't know why I thought that. Okay. Let me see the requests. Handle display band registry. Get registry. Takes object ID display, which is 1. And we'll look at bind in a bit. Create surface. Takes the object ID of the compositor, which I think I just accidentally got lucky with that one. Oh, I didn't. So I think that needs to be the compositor ID. So what would be this ID? The surface. That's also another ID. Oh no, this comes from the interface. Oh, hang on. What am I doing? I think I get it now. Maybe. So here, they should also have an edit. No, but that header would always be two. Oh, but there's something I'm still missing that I don't get. So this is something I need to allocate. Where's the book again? Sender allocates an object ID for it. So this ID will be the same as surface, because that is the new ID that I just created. When a message comes in with a new ID argument, the sender allocates an object ID for it. The object ID in the header refers to the object interface with the request/event you want. Right. But the one thing I don't understand is where does this come from? So it does says here that I need to allocate an object ID. Let me check bind again. What do I send? Yeah, okay. But the question is, and create service. So I send the new ID. What does this mean? I should just read this once. Hang on. Where did it go? Okay, I got that part. But I think the one final question that I have is compositor create surface. So here, this is the new ID that I've used to bind with the, yeah. I bound this new ID or bind called bind on it. So this is also the header ID? No. Jeez. So what am I missing? What is bind? Client can bind to a global object by using the bind request. This creates a client-side handle that lets the object emit events to the client and lets client invoke requests on the object. No. I meant because the new ID, the object has what's it called? So here in the object there is this new ID, right? So that's both the object ID. Oh, okay. Hang on. I see what you mean. Oh, sorry. I think I'm just so confused. It's fucking. They don't make it easy, do they? Client can bind a global object by using the bind request. This creates a client-side handle that lets the object emit events to the client. Okay. And handle requests on the object. So I don't think this object ID is correct. Object ID incorrect. So that means if I've read this correctly, creates a client-side handle that lets the object emit events. So if I do bind correctly, I should be able to handle events here or here. Do I get anything here? Under debug, print. Oh. Composer did not send event, unfortunately. Well, the only reason I thought that is because it says here a client can bind a global object by using a bind request. Ah, because there is no events here. I think the green ones are events, and the compositor has none. Oh, I see what you mean. Right. So I think this is. Oh, geez. How come I get more confused every time I read this book? Okay. First thing I need to fix is the header. Object ID, sorry. It's the new bind ID. There, bind. So the header, I passed the header. And what is the header? Jeez, the header looks wrong. That does look wrong to me. Because that's the header from the event, which would have an object ID that would be the same as the registry. Ah, but actually no, it's right, because bind is defined on the registry. Okay. So I think the head is right. It's whatever comes after. Interface, version, and new ID. So I've passed it a new ID. Interface, version, name interface, version, new ID. Correct. I don't think I need the name interface version after binding. So I'm gonna make it a bit simpler. Oh no, I'll leave it as is for now. So let's say I bound the compositor. Let me just check if XDG gets bound. It does. So now when I create the surface, here, the ID, I've called it like object header. This will be object ID. The object ID should be whatever I passed to bind. So this is, the names are not, should be WL compositor ID. Ah, okay, I think I got it now. And then I need a new ID, which is U32. I mean, I could be wrong, but this would now become WL compositor ID. And this would be new ID. Hopefully that's right. Okay. That means I need to make a few more changes. And then for XTG, this would be the same. Does it need the surface ID? It does. Let's rename this to surface ID. This would be new ID. And it would need WM, what's it called again? WM base. XTG WM base. Base ID, which is also a U32. Let's rename this to new ID. Name that to surface ID. This would be XDG base ID. Surface ID, new ID is new ID. Is that right? XDG shell. Where did it go? Here. New ID first and then the service. Excuse me. Okay. Right. And the other thing I need to fix is jeez. Where is it? Keep this and call it new ID. Went to do ID, then returns U32. Excuse me. Return current self dot ID. Current ID. What's with my naming? It's all over the place. ID. And then increase the count. ID plus equals plus equals 1. That means if I go back here, I need WM base ID. I need surface ID, which is U32. I'll make it null. 32 equal to null. And then I also need XDG Surface ID. Surface ID, which is also null. I think then I don't need this. Get rid of that. If I have need that. So if I have a compositor ID, that means now I can create a surface. Remove that here. Compositor ID C, and then we need if so surface ID not equal to null. I forgot to close. Surface ID will become ID.new ID. What did I call the method? I think I can delete that for now. So when I create a surface, compositor ID is that, and new ID is that. Surface ID dot that. That looks kind of right. Sorry, it's equal to null. Okay, it looks kind of right. And then if I have if what's the other ID? XDG Surface ID equal to null, and then I need I suppose I need the compositor. What do I need for XDG Surface? Where's it gone? Get XDG Surface. I need the XDG base ID and the Surface ID. Is it the Surface ID or the Surface ID? Oh, I need the XTG WM base ID as well. If Surface ID XDG WM base ID. This would be XDG Surface ID equals ID.new ID. Compositor, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is I can just make this like a block and then check if it's not null and then just break block so that it doesn't exit the while loop. I think this is, for now, I'll just do it. I just wanted to like get it right and then I can make it better after. XDG Surface ID, this is get XDG Surface. I need WM base ID. That's it, x.new ID. Surface ID is that. And then I need new ID is XDG Surface ID. Okay. I mean, I don't think I'll still get a window yet. How do I know it worked? How do I know there's no errors? So I guess in a way I need to be able to switch. But I'm also not sure any of these were called. Getting XDG Surface. Yeah, that's what I figured. So either compositor ID is null. Okay, interesting. So it's able to find the surface ID. So wonder if it's just delete that. So WM base ID is the fuck? Why is surface ID null? No. Yeah, there is a surface ID. So how come it never gets here? Is it blocking on something else? Not true. It should read from the socket. Mm, it never gets here. But why? I think I should print here standard debug print. Let's print surface ID, compositor ID, and WM base ID. Surface ID. WL compositor ID, and then XDG WM base ID. No field or member name, function named format number. All right. Dot new ID. Because it's attempt to use null value. You can't print null. Okay, so what is create surface doing? Oh fuck, that's why. Jeez. Don't need to read it. Read standard message len. Yeah, I think I don't. This can just be void. What is unused? Buffer. Doesn't not need to. Okay. And then I guess the same here. Don't need the buffer. Yeah, there's an assertion, so I guess fine. Void. Don't need that. Okay. Create surface. Don't need the buffer. And same here. And these don't return anything anymore. Same here. Let's go. XDGWM base ID and compositor ID. Where did that come from? XDGWM. Am I printing it? That I must be printing it somewhere. Does it? 5 and 6? Yeah, actually, you're right. It does seem way high. Unless I'm printing the wrong ID. Here. Oh yeah, I think it's the wrong. So XDGWM base ID. That is XDG Surface ID. And then this is XDG WM base ID. Is that right? No. That is the surface ID. WL surface ID. I think in which case should be fine. Right? So the compositor would be, I think, 3 or 4. 2 or 3. Well, I still don't have a window. Yeah, I just seem reasonable, I think. Jesus, 6:30. Okay. I'm gonna call it a day there because I think I'm way past time. Started a bit late today. Uh, hey Jack, thank you so much. I think I would have spent another couple of days if it wasn't for you. It takes a bit of time to get your, the mental model right for how it works. At least for me, because I think there's a few things it took me a while to understand, and I'm not sure I fully understand them yet. Note, binding XDG WM base object ID. I think that should help. Maybe there was one statement that actually helped it. Object ID for it. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Jack. I much appreciate your help. Still no window, but have service. Okay. I'm gonna call it a day there. Thanks a lot for hanging out. I think you did explain, you did ask some, you did point out some good flaws in my understanding. I think you were more than a rubber ducky. Okay. Hope you have a good one, Jack. I'll see you. Well, I'll be back here tomorrow if you're here. All right. Have a good one. See ya.